Hi, I'm Panda Hershey, and over the last 7 years, I've helped hundreds of people navigate relationships and challenging situations so they can actually enjoy life. Welcome to the March 6th Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about paying attention to who you're spending time with and whether they are the ones who are going to help you be your best self through all of the changes you're going to navigate in 2024. This is especially important as the Mercury portal opens in less than 2 weeks, because the crowd that you immerse yourself with will impact the message that you want people to pay attention to from mid-March to mid-May. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Here we are. Krista, welcome. It's so good to see you. And it's it's a small group. We have people that kind of pop in and out. We've got Min here, and my partner Brian will be here as well. Am I recording? Yes, I'm still going. But feel free to ask questions at any time. I love the conversation. I love to hear, whether things are resonating, or if you have questions about how something that you're experiencing right now fits in with the energy that is kind of swirling around us. I focus on a certain thing that is very immediate, but a lot of things are playing in the background. And sometimes it's just helpful to be reminded about those things. And if that helps you say, okay, yes, I'm on track, and I just needed a little validation about what I'm feeling, that's what I love to do. So welcome. So right now, it's still getting a little busy, and we'll probably keep feeling it for another couple weeks or a little bit more. And our brains will start to slow down a little bit, even though the world keeps moving a little faster around us. And it sounds scary, but what I think it enables us to do is really pay attention to what is most important to us and be able to focus and be in our heads able to come back to the thing that is really caught in our heads that we're trying to get out there, while everyone and everything around us is still doing their thing. And so just know that that's coming, and it's still going to be very busy, but at least our minds will be able to like hone in on something. And in some ways, it's some wonderful practice to get to focus while things are busy around you. And hopefully I'll be here to support you through all of that. But right now, one of the key components of being able to get ready for the portal that's coming is paying attention to who you're surrounding yourself with. And it's not just even the people, but what environments are you putting yourself in? What are you listening to on the radio? I was just in the car earlier this morning. And of course, yesterday was Super Tuesday. And at some point, I was like, you know what? The hearing election results is not helping me be my best person. I changed the channel, listened to some oldies, and got to sing a little bit in the car. And that just helped me feel like, okay, I'm back on track. But it is that discernment and that noticing, okay, who is around me? What is influencing my environment? And paying attention to that will help us stay on track for the work that we have and being able to get up every day to do it and want to keep going. And so that's a lot of what's been going on. And that energy is still continuing for the next couple of weeks. So with that in mind, any questions? Does that resonate for you about having to use some discretion about what you're going to put around you? So, okay, let's get started. I'm going to
Can I
share
ask a
my
question?
screen. Absolutely.
When you mentioned that there's a portal opening, is that some like what is that?
That is the Mercury retrograde portal. So we hear a lot about Mercury retrograde, But that is only one third of the story. It's like going on a hike and only paying attention to the one third where you had to backtrack and go back to the car and then go back again and catch up to wherever you were. So it is, if you pay attention going forward, then the journey backward is a little clearer. I know what I'm doing. I know the path I'm going. I know what to expect. I'm going to make fewer wrong turns. And then the way forward, I know exactly what I'm doing after the retrograde. I can hone this. I can think about this. And I think of it as a second chance, which we can all use at times. Does that help? Excellent. Okay. All right. So here we are on March 6th. And just to orient you, Krista, because I love having new people come, what we're going to look at is this is a traditional, I'll say, snapshot or natal chart, but it is not for any particular person. It is for the day here in Berkeley, California, where the this line between Pisces and Aries is always right here. And there are colors for each of the planets. So, for example, the sun is here, still in Pisces. Um, and here's Mercury, still in Pisces. And you get to watch all of these planets move in the counterclockwise direction because that visual picture of how things move, I find so helpful for me as a visual learner. And so I'll explain things day by day, and then we'll watch them move kind of in faster motion without me talking. But notice that Pluto was back here in, now it's in Aquarius, but it's going to stay in this little 2.5 degree slice of the sky all year. The moon zips around very fast, and all the other planets vary in terms of how quickly they are moving through. But here we are on the 6th, and we are in the midst of the sun being in this area of where Saturn is spending its time. It crossed over Saturn last week, and Saturn will be in 12.5 to 19.5 degrees of Pisces all year. So as the sun is coming through that little area of the sky, it's like we're doing whatever Saturn is calling us to do all year, which is be discreet, be selective about who we're hanging out with. And that's kind of how I talk about the energies of what's going on. And so tomorrow, Mercury in green is going into that area of the sky where Neptune was all year. And Neptune last year brought us support, someone who understood what we were going through at the time. Sometime last spring, if you think back to that, there was a lot of change going on as Pluto did a little bit of work in Aquarius and was like, holy cow, things are shifting. And someone showed up for you, maybe more than one person. They like effortlessly appeared on your doorstep. For me, it was a hospice nurse. I mean, a bunch of hospice nurses who were absolutely amazing. And I could just turn to them. They were always there when I needed them. And they could say, this is fine. This is normal. Just relax. And I've got this. And I will help you through this. But it was something like that. And this year, Neptune will bring more people like that into our lives to guide us through experiences that will bring out our deepest connection to humanity, to the experiences that nearly everyone goes through. And other people have walked that path and will help us. So this is a time for awareness of who is coming in to help you. On the 8th, Mercury actually crosses over Neptune. And there's this overlap between last year's Neptune portal and this year's Neptune portal. And so that is a day where someone may magically appear in your life, either from last year's mentor or maybe someone who helps you this year. But a communication, it could be an email, it could be a podcast, it could be any host of ways where somehow you get tapped into the support that you need. On the next day, the sun moves through 19.5 degrees of Pisces. So it finishes moving through that Saturn portal. And so that is a day where you kind of look back at the last week and you think about, okay, who did I just spend time with? Who of those people are going to help me in my day to day getting stuff done this year? Who is helping me feel excited about the work I'm going to have to do and helps me bring out the best? And just even noting that they may not be the exact people, but there's a certain feel um, about them that helps you step up and be your best. And keeping focused on that so that when the time comes to start being selective and seeing who is on your dream team, that you'll be able to do that. On the 9th, Mercury actually leaves the Neptune portal. So it's really these very tight window, 3 days of calling in and thinking about maybe having a conversation about who is there to support you. And again, this can come in the form of a podcast. I have found podcasts that offer me exactly what I need in the moment that I need it. And it's like, okay, put that on my favorites. I'm going to keep coming back to that. On the 11th, Venus over here is starting to move into last year's Saturn portal. And having just gone through the doing of the sun for this year's portal, it may feel like, oh my gosh, not sure who I really resonated with, but I remember how great it was to hang out with my last year's crowd, how they got me going. And maybe even picking out who do I really love from that team that seems to be on the same journey with me and it is going to keep me going in the day to day work that I have. And so there'll be a little bit of time coming up to think about that. Who do you appreciate from last year that was in that small boat, pulling on the oars with you and getting you going? On the same day, the Neptune portal for this year actually opens. And this will be a time where, for the next uh, 12 months or so, you'll start being very aware of, not very aware, but this is an opportunity for these people to magically and effortlessly appear in your life to support you. So we all get to look forward to that. On the 14th, in a little over a week, the sun moves into that Neptune portal for last year. So if you were thinking about someone or you heard, oh, heard about something that seemed like it was going to be helpful, this starts to be the time where you could actually, oh, maybe I'll actually reach out to them. Maybe I'll join their program. Maybe I'll join that group or do some kind of action to put myself in the midst of that. And that will continue for a couple days. And then the sun will go into this year's Neptune portal of really thinking about who is going to support me last year or this coming year. And the next day, the sun actually moves over Neptune. So if you think about Mercury going first and doing the thinking and being aware of something, the sun, about a week later is like, okay, do it. Go take some action on that. And at the same time, Venus leaves last year's portal. So it's like this appreciation of that team you had last year. On the 18th, this is the day that Mercury portal opens, the one that I have alluded to about being able to start to focus our thoughts. And it at the same time is going over where Chiron was last year. And Chiron is about things, it's about cultivating curiosity, frankly. It's like releasing expectations wherever we can, where we're so sure that something we try or something we say is going to land a certain way, and it goes completely differently than we expect. So I like to think of Chiron as helping us to look at life as an experiment and just seeing, okay, what just happens when I try this? And so as Mercury goes into last year's Chiron portal and the portal opens for this year, this is a time where we get to think about what we're bringing to people's attention, because that is what Aries is all about. It's not about necessarily being impulsive. It's like, oh my gosh, this inspiration just came to me about something that I think is really important and I need you to know. And we just poke someone or we wave our hand or we do something to get people's attention to something that we think is important. And that is what this whole portal will be about. And so, who you're surrounding yourself with will totally influence what you see as important. And so, um, we get some time to really cultivate having the right energy around us. And then on the 19th, the sun leaves that Neptune portal. And then on the 20th, in 2 weeks, we meet again when Mercury actually crosses over Chiron here at 18 degrees and also enters this coming Chiron portal of really experimenting with that message that we're trying to get in front of people and get people to notice. So, any questions right now? We're going to back it up. I'm going to do this right now, and then I'm not going to talk. And everyone will get to watch this. So, something to notice is how Mercury is going to speed up and cross over Chiron. That green one is going to come over this. Sun is marching through the Saturn portal, but then we'll get to the end of Pisces. The moon will always move very quickly. So some things to look at, but I won't be talking. Here we go. And there we go. Any questions? Krista, I know it can be a little overwhelming at times to watch that movement, but the visual is kind of like, oh, I hadn't really thought of it that way. And I don't know anyone who shows it this way, but for me as a visual learner, it's like, oh, now things start to make sense. And when things are grouped together, it's like a traffic accident on the other side of the highway where everyone's like, what's happening? And you can't not pay attention, right? So that's sort of how I think about it. All right. So, big question for the next 2 weeks. How are you immersing yourself with the people who will help you get where you need to go this year? There is a lot of work ahead. I've called this leveling up. I've called this releasing the structures that no longer serve us, or the ones that are simply going away. I have certain systems in my life that I've gotten very used to, and that is all changing for me this year. I have a daughter who's getting married and moving to France, and that's a big, big change. I'm so excited for her, and yet my Friday nights will never be the same. So, what do I do with that? How do I make the most of that? How do I build on that? And it's also people to help you with the day to day challenges. So it's that one group of people who helps you get the daily tasks done. So if you were caring for someone, it would be who is your team around you? If you are a body worker. It's like, who are you seeing every day? Who are the clients that you have as part of your um, clientele, and how are you getting to them? How are you finding them? How are they finding you? And you're getting to spend time with them. And it's not just the day-to-day people, it is the people who understand what you're going through and can provide wise counsel. And because the energy always works in two directions, it might be, how are you providing wise counsel to someone else who is walking that path behind you? And your job is really to discern who can help bring out the best in you over the next few weeks. So we're still in the midst of the sun moving through this year's Saturn portal. So, what activities are you doing right now that give you a sense of who could be part of your dream team, or what you even want to feel on that team? And how are you mindfully acting to get in sync with the people around you? If you're having a hard time being in sync with them, then maybe moving yourself into a different crowd is going to be the right thing you need to do over the next few weeks. And if you are feeling in sync, that's great. And just noticing what it is about them that helps you be your best will help you keep going on that path. From the 7th to the 9th, so starting tomorrow, as Mercury moves through last year's and this year's Neptune portal, this awareness of who's got great advice or counsel for you to support you in seeing beyond where you're at right now and encouraging you to keep going and don't give up because you've got this, is going to be some guideposts to look for, right? It's just like, seriously, you turn on the radio and there might be something you hear that helps you. And on March 8th, it's exact. So pay attention that day, especially. And finally, how might you be wise counsel for someone else? Because sometimes we have to help others come along as well. From the 11th to the 17th, so for about a week, as Venus moves through last year's Saturn portal, this appreciation of what did I really love about the people who were hanging out with me last year. And they may even come to you and say, we need to keep working together. Like this was great for me. How was it for you? And as I'm hanging out with this other crowd, I really miss like our thing, or I don't want to lose it. So how are you getting that energy coming into you? And then on the 14th, um, the sun is moving through the oh gosh, I didn't put the final date. I think it was the 19th. Sun through the Neptune portals, and it's exact on the 17th. So again, what are you doing to be in sync with this huge human experience at really seriously the deepest levels? And who is helping you understand that? And who helps you feel like you can make it? Because we need that around us right now. And who are you helping? On the 18th, so almost 2 weeks from now, that Mercury portal will open. And that is a time to notice, what is it from hanging around with the right people? What am I figuring out I need to bring to people's attention? What is being brought to my attention? And it's really from the 18th to the 1st, but it's opening your awareness to what is rising up inside you. If you have messaging that you're just trying to nail, like that's something I'm working on right now, is that is a time where it may come up and you may say, oh my gosh, this is how people are going to get it. This is how they're going to stop and notice. And it is a testing phase, because remember, after the retrograde, there is the opportunity to do it again. And as you're immersed in being around these people that are influencing how you feel, what are you realizing? And finally, on the 20th, exactly 2 weeks from now, Mercury is moving across Chiron at 18 degrees of Aries. So be prepared to put something out there and have something totally unexpected happen, or have a communication that you didn't expect. So there will be 3 times where this happens, and it gets progressively deeper, but over the next couple months. But just paying attention to, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's not necessarily bad, but I'm open to like having things go not the way I thought they would. So, any questions on this so far? Can you see this coming up in your life at all? Okay.
So I have a question in terms of, so like, how are you coming aware of the wise counsel? I need to seek some advice on some pretty tricky stuff. I don't want to have any I don't want to have any surprises or any unexpected stuff coming back. I'm trying to pick my dates. Like I need I have a small timeline to get some intricate, precarious stuff, potentially threatening stuff dealt with. And I need it to go well.
Mhm.
Um, trying to work out how to make my way through that. I haven't a couple of names of people I can ask for like quick free consultations, and then there's presumably I need to make an appointment with a professional to go forward with some of the rest of it, and most of it I'm going to be doing myself. But like the March 20th thing, I mean, obviously the unexpected thing could be to do with any part of my life. It wouldn't necessarily be to do with this.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
So, with the communication, like the reaching out on March 7th is probably a good time to start putting it out there and dropping a phone call, dropping whatever it is that you need to happen in order to get a response back. You could even start doing it now, and then the answers may come back during this time period. But casting the net wide so that the opportunity can come back is one way to go. It one Does that make sense to you? Or you can always cast the net out to people who might know of someone, and something can also come back. But when the sun starts marching through is when the action will start to happen. Does that make sense? So it's possible that you simply have a discussion that's like, do I feel like I can be with this person? Does this feel like the right person for me? And then you set up a conversation where you start to um, talk, or actually meet, or start to work together when the
when you
sun
say
goes
when,
through.
that's the March 14th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Okay.
need to get a lot more groundwork completed today than I was anticipating, because tomorrow and Friday are working days for me. That'll be hard for me to wrap stuff around anyway. Okay.
Okay. That's actually good that you get it done. And then because the 7th is tomorrow,
Mm,
things can come back to you, right? The communication can come to me as well.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, nice thing from Krista. Tips for thriving. Kind of same thing. Notice how you are syncing up with the people around you. So as you search for the people who are going to help you, men, finding someone who makes you feel you're going to make it through is so important. Someone who is like doom and gloom, out. Unless you feel like it's what you need. I hope that makes like it's
Yeah.
somewhere listening to yourself, and because I am familiar with like some of the deepest parts of you, trusting that instinct is important for you,
Yeah.
and it's good for you to trust it. So, who feels like a mentor to support you through some deep human experiences? This sounds like exactly what you're going through. And when the Mercury portal opens on March 18th, what do you need people to hear or acknowledge? What is being brought to your attention? And you've got a couple weeks to really work with that and play with, okay, my mind has got to focus on this. And then the Mercury retrograde will begin on April 1st. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but mostly surround yourself with the right people, the right energies. Tap into, if you are working in areas where you know people are less familiar with their histories or whatever, and have never talked about, needing the support, toss it out there and just say, hey, I have no idea if you know about any of this kind of stuff, but I'm looking for this kind of help. By any chance, do you know anyone who does this kind of stuff or might be a good person to talk to? And you just never know what might come back.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Thank you.
You bet. And finally, one last thing here. I don't always do this, but if you are a primary caregiver who is also trying to run a business, you are someone who needs people to pay attention the first time you tell them, because you don't have time to repeat yourself over and over again. And if you are a primary caregiver, also trying to run a business, finding any time to think strategically, like that quiet moment, can be really hard because you're always running from one thing to the next. And getting reminders to help you stay on track can be so helpful when you're getting interrupted with last minute appointments or activities or things that pop up that you just weren't expecting and throw your day to be completely different from what you thought. So, have you ever felt like you are a voice in the wilderness and you're trying to get people to hear something very important you're trying to bring to their attention, but no one's hearing you? Well, did you know that from March 18th to May 13th, so almost 2 months, that the Mercury portal is coming to help you practice getting people's attention? So you can discover how to use the entire Mercury portal to your advantage. From March 18th to May 13th, it is not just the retrograde. I'm offering a little PDF on just what are those 3 phases and what are you supposed to do during those phases. And with that comes a whole bunch of tiny little short email reminders of, don't forget to think about this, be aware of this, open up to what might be going on around you and what you're doing to keep you on track with getting your message out there, so that by the time this portal is over on May 13th, you have clarity about what it is you want people to pay attention to. And there's also this ripple effect after the portal is over, when you really get to put your heart into grabbing people's attention. So if you're interested in this, there's going to be a link that accompanies the email that summarizes this, as well as below. So just click on that and you can get both the PDF and the email series in your inbox. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just see, is there anything else that I can help you with?
No, that's great, and it's also just brought to my attention just how small a window of time I have to do some of the stuff in. So I need to get things moving.
Okay. Well, the universe is out there to support you.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate your help.
and us too. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. I hope you feel prepared to move easily over the next 2 weeks. Life is still speeding up slightly, But if you're surrounded by the right people, you'll have the support and feel better about being able to navigate all of it.